Hey everyone, I'm back. Yeah, I've had a very busy week. I couldn't give you my review of Pixels the movie, but in short, I thought it was a piece of shit. However, let's not talk about this piece of shit, but rather finish reviewing the original Star Wars trilogy, shall we? Return of the Jedi. Now, Return of the Jedi is the concluding chapter of the original Star Wars trilogy. A word of warning to you guys, this video will contain spoilers. I will talk in detail about this movie and also talk about the changes they made to the movie throughout the years. Why didn't I talk about Empire's changes? Well, because I was fine with most of them. In this case, not so much. Return of the Jedi takes place 2 or 3 years after the events of Empire. And our rebels, yeah, they're pretty much screwed. They don't have a base, they float around in space, but they desperately want to take out the Empire once and for all. But our friends have to deal with something else first. They have to get Han back. Yep, he's still frozen in carbonite and still taken hostage by Jabba the Hutt and currently located at Jabba's palace. Which is great because we get to see Jabba for the very first time. Yep, I told you before, he was not in the original Star Wars. They added him in later. And this guy is one repulsive creature. He is disgustingly fat, eats all the time, parties all the time, surrounds himself with slave women, our favorite bounty hunter Boba Fett, and his very own band. And this is where the changes start to kick in. His band used to consist out of those really weird creatures, but they actually used costume designs and practical effects to create them. And they used to sing this very shitty 80s song that sort of went like this. Chica puta maki, wana chica bapa, ina puta chiki puta. And not only did they change the song, but they CGI'd one of the band members and added another CGI creature. Is this furry thing that goes like Hootie Tang. But the new song is every bit as annoying as the old one. Bitching aside, this is a very cool scene. The entire Jabba's Palace segment is probably my favorite intro to any of the Star Wars movies. You see this very mysterious bounty hunter entering Jabba's palace with Chewbacca on a leash. And you find out it's actually Leia. She and Lando have already infiltrated Jabba's palace in order to get Han out. And while she defreezes him, she gets captured, stripped down and dressed up like a slave. And I hate to admit, she looks extremely hot in that outfit. Yep. Anyways, this is the point where we are finally introduced to Luke Skywalker again. And Luke at this point is a completely different man than he used to be. He's not crying, he's not bitching. He now is this overly self-confident, cloaked figure that almost looks like a methodical villain. Honestly, he reminds me of the Emperor. And the way he talks, he's all like, I need to speak to Jabba. However, his negotiations with Jabba fail and Jabba's like, you know what? I've had it with all of you. I'm gonna execute Luke, Chewbacca, and Han by throwing them into the Sarlacc pit. What is the Sarlacc pit? Well, it's pretty much a hole in the middle of the sand desert, but it does have some teeth. And this is the point where Luke is like, Jabba, this is your last chance. Free us or die. Jabba, of course, rejects the offer and chaos ensues. You really see Luke's plan unfolding and all the pieces coming together. R2-D2 shoots out his lightsaber, he catches it and starts slaughtering everyone. And while this is an extremely cool scene and you see Lando also coming to play, there's one scene that I really don't like. I told you before in my Empire review, I love Boba Fett. And he dies in the most stupid way possible. Han Solo turns around, accidentally activating his jetpack, making him fly across the street and landing in the Sarlacc pit. Why did you do that? That's a slap in the face to all of the Boba Fett fans. After our friends kick ass, free Han, and kill Jabba and everyone involved with him, I guess, they part ways because Luke gave Yoda his word that he would return. And he actually finds Yoda on Dagobah, but Yoda is about to die. And his last words to Luke are very cryptic messages. First of all, he warns him about the Emperor and his powers, but he also tells him that there is another Skywalker out there. The ghost of Obi-Wan actually confirms that it is in fact Leia, who is Luke's twin sister. With that information on his mind and the will to bring his father, Darth Vader, back to the light side, he joins with the rebellion once again. And this is again a very great part of the movie because every character has to go on a different campaign. The Empire actually created a second Death Star. I know some people find it stupid. I actually don't. I thought it was a very smart move because it looks like it's completely unfinished and under construction, but it is actually operational, which is a great move, a great trap. So Lando has to lead the assault on the Death Star while piloting the Millennium Falcon. And Han actually commands a team that goes down to the forest moon of Endor in order to take out the deflector shield that's sort of protecting the Death Star. While all of this happens, we finally meet the Emperor for the very first time. Yeah, he was in Empire, but only during that very brief scene that was sort of a Skype conversation between him and Vader. No, we see him in the flesh. And that guy is the devil. He is hands down the villain of the entire trilogy, or the entire Star Wars saga actually. He's a silver-tongued devil. Everything he says is so seducing but evil at the same time, and you see that Vader is under his spell actually. So our friends go down to the forest moon of Endor, and this is the part that a lot of people hate about this movie. Ewoks. Little tiny furry teddy bears who actually end up helping the rebellion take out some of the best elite warriors of the Empire. And I also find that a bit stupid. When you see these badass stormtroopers being taken out by little teddy bears who throw stones and sticks at them, it is a bit stupid, but I learned to roll with it. Anyhow, the space battle that takes place above Endor is hands down my favorite space battle in movie history. And while all of this happens, Luke finally confesses to Leia that she is in fact his sister, that she's also force sensitive, and that she might be the rebellion's last hope if he should die, because he is going to abandon the mission. He feels like he jeopardizes the mission because Vader senses him and he senses Vader vice versa. So he says, I will embark on my own quest because I have to bring our father back to the light side. And this is the most monumental standoff in the entire Star Wars saga, in my humble opinion. Vader brings Luke in front of the Emperor, and the Emperor tries to seduce Luke like he once seduced his father. You see that he really knows all the right buttons to push. He's taunting him, talking about his friends are all about to die. And Luke is like, shit, I've had about enough of this. He reaches for his lightsaber and actually tries to cut off the Emperor's head. Vader deflects his lightsaber and the battle between father and son once again ensues. There's this one scene while Luke is hiding in the darkness. Half of his face is in the shadow and the other one is in the light. It is a totally symbolic scene because Luke starts to be conflicted as well. He has all those aggressions towards the Emperor and towards Vader. And Vader also knows how to push the right buttons. He's like, you know what? If you're not gonna turn, then maybe your sister will. This is the point where Luke just snaps, hauls out on Vader, cuts off his hand, and has him at mercy. And this is the point where he looks at Vader's hand, which is a robotic hand, and it's so reminiscent of his own hand, and he's like, holy shit, I could become like my father. Throws away his lightsaber, he's like, no, never, I'll never turn to the dark side. I'm a Jedi, just like my father used to be. The Emperor looks at him and is like, well, alright then, Jedi. And he finally shows us the full extent of the dark side. He actually shoots lightning out of his hands and really fries Luke. Seriously, he barbecues the shit out of him. And this scene was ruined by the changes they made to the movie. You see Luke reaching out his hand. He's all like, Father, please. The camera pans to Vader. He's looking back to the Emperor, back to Luke. The music cues up and you're like, holy shit, Vader is conflicted. He does not say a word. It's all about subtlety. But you know that Vader is about to do the right thing. Or at least he's thinking about doing the right thing. He grabs the Emperor, throws him over the bridge or whatever the fuck that thing was, and he dies. In the new version, Vader has to yell, no, while doing this. It's so stupid. It's so retarded. The best thing about this scene was the subtlety. In any case, the lightning actually short-circuited Vader's entire suit and he's about to suffocate and die. Luke grabs him, actually wants to bring him back to his friends, but Vader realizes that he's about to die. He asks Luke to take off his mask, to look upon him with his own eyes. Luke abides, and we finally get to see Vader's real face, and you're like, oh my god, you're such a sad, old, little damaged dude. You actually feel sad for Vader. In the meantime, Lando actually manages to enter the Death Star and blow that thing up, just in time for Luke to escape. The people on Endor witness the explosion, and everyone is so happy that they finally took out the Emperor and the second Death Star. Luke, however, takes his father's body, burns his body, and the Jedi/Force theme cues up so beautifully. It's one of the greatest scenes ever. And this is pretty much the end of the movie. Luke joins his friends on Endor, they all celebrate with the bears, and the funny thing about that scene, in the original version, you only saw the local celebration with the bears. They had their shitty nyap nyap, nyap nyap song, and I hated that song. But now it actually shows the entire galaxy reacting to the fall of the Empire. And this is one of the changes that I actually love, because taking out the Empire is a big deal, not only for our friends, but for everyone. So we get to see Coruscant, people tear down a statue of the Emperor, fireworks everywhere, we see Tatooine, Naboo. It's awesome. And I even prefer the new song. And the movie ends with Luke. Before joining in the full celebration, he turns around and he sees the ghost of Obi-Wan, Yoda, and this other old dude all of a sudden pops up as a ghost. And really catches you off guard. It's actually Darth Vader. Yup, he's now Anakin Skywalker again and has become one with the Force as well. And it's such a great scene. And this is another change that fucked up this beautiful scene. Because now they replaced the actor with Hayden Christensen, who plays Anakin in the prequels. This doesn't make sense. Why the fuck did they do this? Why is he all of a sudden young again? Anyhow, our friends celebrate all happy together, and it's the finale of the Star Wars saga. Now, to me, Return of the Jedi is a fantastic conclusion to the Star Wars saga. It is satisfying in every way. It gives great conclusion to all the characters. Leia is now Force sensitive. Han is finally a leader among the rebellion, and both of them finally commit to their feelings for one another. Luke is now a real Jedi Knight. Lando learned how to take responsibility, and it's also a great story about redemption when it comes to Darth Vader. Bringing back Obi-Wan and Yoda was also great, and the soundtrack is again out of this world and absolutely flawless. Which is why Return of the Jedi absolutely gets the gold medal. To me, The Empire Strikes Back will always be my favorite Star Wars movie, but Return of the Jedi, I think, comes in second. So I now have reviewed all the movies of the original Star Wars trilogy. I put links to the other reviews in the description below. And yes, I will eventually review the prequels before The Force Awakens comes out. Yay. Thank you guys, as always, for watching. And if you like what you see here and you want to see more, then just subscribe.